Talking about that.
That's for goal of such presentation.
She should have.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
John Park.
Here.
Robinson.
Here.
Amanda Hunter. Here. Joan Davis. Here. Nancy Conlon. All present in the conference room. Approval of the agenda.
I do have a couple of amendments that I need to make. So I would like to make a motion to approve the agenda with, under new business, number 8, being the fencing contract for the recycle center. I noticed that had not been passed yet. And an email was sent out about the government CD, which expires at the end of this month.
So what?
The government CD
Oh.
that we have at Shelby State Bank,
Okay.
that expires at the end of this month. If we don't want to continue with it, we've only got a few days to handle that, otherwise it automatically renews for another 2 years. So I'd like to add that as number 9.
Support.
Okay, motion by Hunter, supported by Robertson, to approve the agenda as presented with the addition of 8 fencing contract and 9 government CD. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 5-0. Approval of minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Support.
Motion by Robertson, supported by Clark, to approve the March 2023 minutes as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 5-0. Public comments on action items only. Dan, state your name.
Okay, Jim Draper. So I gave you guys all a couple letters, the one from Barnum, which I'm sure you've seen by now, and another one that I just put together, but I'd like to read that one out loud. Dear Newfield Township Board, I'm writing to address the public hearing that took place on April 13th, 2023 regarding a special use permit for High Cloud LLC. I'd like to make it known in public record that the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act, specifically in Article 5, Section 501, Paragraph 4, states a decision rejecting, approving, or conditionally approving a site plan shall be based upon the requirements and standards contained in the zoning ordinance. Further, may it be known that the zoning ordinance for Newfield Township in Article 9, under Special Uses, Paragraph 9.04, states that upon receiving an application for a special use permit, the Planning Commission shall review the application at its next regular meeting following filing and shall set a date for public hearing within 45 days thereafter. It appears that someone is trying to ramrod this special use permit through without regard for the Zoning Enabling Act or the ordinance, which contributed to confusion among the Planning Commission as to the legality of granting the special use permit. If the ordinance were to be followed, the Planning Commission would have reviewed the application on April 13th and then set a date for a public hearing within 45 days. This would give the Planning Commission time for a due diligence review and allow the public to understand what is being proposed. This is why the laws and ordinances are written. And something unique to America, most of our laws and ordinances, Constitution, all that, is to bind the hands of government. It's in favor of the people, basically not letting the government overstep the bounds and taking the rights of people. I would hope that the Newfield Township Board, if they're considering approving this permit, you would at least try to uphold the Zoning Enabling Act and ordinance by holding a public hearing during the legal time frame. Thank you.
Any other public comments? Okay. Budget amendment?
I would like to make a motion to do a budget amendment. This is how we do our COVID spending. And our COVID, our fencing for, our, recycle center, foremans are asking half down. So, the check that would be written for them is $7,787.48. Our auditor has it set up that we do a budget amendment to switch monies over for marijuana and for COVID. And so that's what we're doing, today. So, the amount is going for, COVID spending, and it goes into the federal, from the federal ARPA revenue.
What was the total there again?
7787.48 for budget amendment. It just switches it over. That's how we move our COVID money and our marijuana money.
I'll make a motion to move, $7,787.48 from the ARPA fund, into the recycling center account so that we can pay, half of the fencing bill, the fencing contract.
I'll support.
Okay, motion by Hunter, supported by Clark to do the budget amendment of moving to $7,787.48. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 5-0. Treasurer's report?
All right, so for our treasurer's report, last month we had a little bit of an issue. So our total cash available is $880,057.03. Our general fund money market account had, $880,691.32. Our general fund, at the end of the month, it had $6,720.80. However, the outstanding checks that we had left over was $7,355.09. So this actually put us in the hole, $634.29. So if all of the checks would have been cashed, we would have overdrafted on that account. It looks like there was an IRS payment that was taken out of our account twice. So we are looking into what we owe to the IRS
We should have
going
credit.
forward. What's that?
We should have
We should
credit.
have a credit going in there.
They didn't have
So they
credit
don't-
for payment.
They don't
Yeah.
reimburse it, or they just?
They didn't have
No,
credit.
they don't reimburse it, they just put it forward to the next one. So, we'll end up paying in less later. But because we had that negative balance, I did go ahead and transfer, money for, the debit card, transaction and the duplicate IRS payment, so that we would be back in the clear just in case all of them.
And it's all straightened out. with
And it's all straightened out, and next month it'll all balance back out and everything. So, treasury accounts at the end of last month had, $424,222.08. I believe we made almost $900 or $1,000 on interest in our treasury accounts. We made $2,140.11 interest on our general fund money market account. I did finally get to go ahead earlier this month to disperse from the county gave me the go ahead to disperse, so I've got those checks out. So as long as they are cashed before next month, that balance in the treasury account will be back down to what it should be for this time of year. I think that was all that I have there. Any questions? No.
thank you. Any correspondence?
I did get one letter from, Mr. Talbot in regards to the money that we, set aside for the purchase of 20 new radios last month. And that is the only correspondence that I have.
Okay.
Joe, I got correspondence from Mr. Beckman,
Okay.
because there was an inquiry about, their operation, excuse me, and there we go. And it says, Steve, JRV applied and received a special use permit for mining sand and gravel in 2005. We started processing material in approximately 2007. We have made daily sand and gravel since that time. Beckman Brothers Inc., Robert Beckman.
Okay. Anything else? Maybe one business items. Old business, clerk wages. Last month we voted on some of the wages, and when we got to the clerk wages, it was mentioned that Nancy could not vote because it was her job. When we vote, it's to vote for the position and not for the person, and so she was, able to vote, just like I would have been able to vote, and it was no difference than all of us voting on 8%. So, her wages are back on here, and so I'm gonna make another motion a resolution to approve clerk wages for $2,500, which would take, that would take it to $18,700.
Support.
Okay, motion by Davis, supported by Rick.
I would like to open up discussion on this, and I was gonna wait to do it under resolution of wages. I did do a wage study between New County and Oceana County, and it does look like everybody is getting essentially underpaid, in comparison. So, what I came up with was that the clerk and the treasurer typically are on the same page for wages across the board. Supervisor is slightly less, and actually the trustees are more than what we pay them as well. So, I would like to see about adjusting this motion by resolution to be the $2,500 that you're suggesting plus that 8% that we've already looked at adding in, because based on everything last month was made via motion, so technically none of it carries over unless we make a resolution. So the number that I came up with was the number that I am currently at, as of my check today, if the motion passes, or if the resolution passes, would be $20,196 for the clerk annually.
That's what we already did.
So, so instead of doing two resolutions, one for the 2,500 and then the 8%, can we adjust the motion by resolution to be the 20,196?
Yes.
We have a motion on the floor, resolution number 4-18-231.
4-18-231.
So do we need a new, need to amend the resolution to the 2196? Okay.
So, and then do a resolution 4-18-23-1 for clerk wages to be $20,196.
places that need another support, you've already supported it, so.
We need to,
Roll call.
we need the state supervisors and the treasurers.
But we have to do them all separately.
Oh,
And so the clerk was on the old business, and then the resolution of wages is on new business, so.
John Clark,
yes.
Rick Robertson,
yes.
Amanda Hunter,
Yes.
Joan Davis,
Yes.
Nancy Conley, yes.
Okay, next, we have Lola here. Where is Lola?
I'd like to introduce you to Lola Harmon Ramsey. She is a wonderful lady who is involved in recycling, and she helped us write the recycle grant that we received here. It's been a big plus. The grant was written to include not only Newfield Township, but the village of Hesperia, Denver Township, and Greenwood. So it's all optional. We had letters of support from the village and Greenwood Township, and verbal support from Denver. So Lola's recycling is a little different than what I've had a big education. So she's going to educate you a little bit about what the recycling is about. You do see we have the stakes out there. Mike Rosen's been here to help start that process. So I will turn this over to Lola. She and her husband had the Cartwright Recycle, and they're now involved with
We were bought out by American Classic.
American Classic. Okay, so
Yeah.
this is Lola.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you everyone for being here. I've been in the recycling industry for the last 18 years. My husband and I started Cartwright Recycling in Fremont, where we did the curbside recycling route for the city of Fremont. And then we expanded to the county of Nuevo, and we managed their 6 drop-off facilities. So when Nancy first approached me, I was the owner of Cartwright still, and we kind of wanted to see what we could do here, maybe in the Hesperia area. You guys used to have a drop-off center that was closed due to misuse when the Nuevo County program first started. Part of the problem with that was an educational element and signage. Now all of the Nuevo County sites but one are now currently fenced in, and so when we started talking about a center here, that was my recommendation, would be that everything would be fenced in and there would be hours just to sort of contain some of the issues that we run into. With American Classic purchasing us, one of our goals as Cartwright was we knew that we wanted to expand recycling in this region, which is called Region 14. It includes Oceana, Nuevo, Muskegon, Mason, and Lake counties. So the state has indicated that recycling should be at about 45% rate throughout the state. And within Region 14, we're at about 5%. And that's because there's a lack of access. So what Eagle has also done is provided infrastructure grants. So Nancy and I worked on that grant, and we were able to receive $35,000 to put your center here. That's gonna pay for your fencing, the excavation, the signage, the dumpsters, and then we'll have a contract with American Classic to pick up. The leadership here will kind of decide what the schedule will be. We haven't figured that out yet. The RFB is for dumpsters right now. That should be ending about now. We should have a vendor. And then depending on how long it's going to take for the delivery of the dumpsters, I would anticipate you'll have your center open here within the next 3 to 6 months, hopefully before the snow flies again. American Classic purchased the Stanwood facility in Nuevo, if you're familiar with that building, right on 37. And we moved in there late December. And the reason they purchased that was to take all of our loads of just recycling, come into that facility, they're tipped on the floor there, and then we sort them there, and we keep the commodities and broker them ourselves. So instead of going all the way down to Grand Rapids, we had some cost barriers with mileage, with hauling fees, the tires, just the wear and tear on our guys and our trucks. We're much more efficient here in being in Nuevo, and now we're kind of looking to head towards Lake County, maybe some more service in Oceana, and we're expanding into the Muskegon County region. So we're growing quickly. The thing with recycling that I found in the last year is everyone likes recycling when they do it, but they don't always know how to do it correctly. So I'm going to pass out some of these, and I can take some questions at the end. So really what we're looking for is we'll be offering, there'll be dumpster style containers here. In Nuevo County, we're switching to a process called dual stream. So half your containers will be for your paper and your cardboard, and the other containers will be for your firm plastics, your glass, your tin, and your cartons. One thing though that we see, so it doesn't matter what color glass, it can be clear or any color. Firm plastics would mean something that has like a give back, your regular cans. The metal would not be your metal that you're getting from your yard or your garage. It's your day-to-day household metals. All your paper is accepted. What we do find though is sometimes the preparation. So things like, this is highly recyclable, but it's not clean. So we can't accept these sorts of items. This would be considered plastic, but it's not a firm plastic. So what we like to do is teach you how to take it back to Meijer or Walmart into their drop-off areas. This can be made into Trex decking if it's kept clean and dry. When it goes in the containers, we can't keep it clean and dry. This is another good example. We all get a lot of Amazon packages. This one also can go back to Meijer or Walmart into those containers. And styrofoam, although it's a number 6 plastic, it doesn't break down and we can accept it. So while the rules often say we can't take this, we can't take this, we still can take a lot. And last year in Nuevo County, we diverted 2 million pounds of items that were bound for landfill. They went to the recycling center instead. So with some of that being said, what kind of questions can I answer from you guys, from the board?
How often will they get dumped, or is it an on-call?
We'll have a schedule, so depending on, like the Fremont site is open Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. It's tipped twice. That's probably our busiest site in Nuevo County. It's tipped on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So some of that will depend on how often you guys want to be open. If you have minimal hours, you're probably only going to see 1 tip per week. If you have more hours, you'll have probably 2.
How many hours a day do most of everyone stay open?
It kind of depends on, they utilize volunteers to open and close the site. So like Grant's open from 8 to 4. The city opens and closes that during the week. Fremont's only open from 8 to noon because that's the volunteer schedule. So we did just do a survey, and that was the number 1 complaint, was it wasn't open enough at all the sites for use. So that'll be something for you guys to consider.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Kyle.
I think the trustee has the privilege of going first. I'll go next,
Okay.
please.
I just want, on your cardboard, does it gotta be broke down, or?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah, you'll want to have it flattened, and that's a lot just to save space for your other users.
I know some of them sites, they
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah, to break it down is the best, and then
And it has to be clean cardboard, not dirty pizza boxes.
yeah, if it's really, really greasy, you don't want to do that, but if it's got a little grease in it, well, yeah, we'll take that. Yeah. No pizza though, we get a lot of pizza.
So is this for residential only, and what
Correct.
about commercial recycling?
Yeah, it's for residential, it's considered post-consumer drop-off centers, but as we establish our route here, we will be targeting commercial businesses as well.
That's to come. Got it.
And I have a card for you here.
Great, thank you.
In the back.
I've seen this before, and I've always wondered, you can put newspaper in for recycling, which is great, but why not shredded paper?
Great question. I get this one a lot. So imagine that shredded paper in your hand, and you go like this. and it goes on all this, and then it goes in my truck, and it goes like that. Well, when it gets tipped on the floor, we can't get those little pieces of paper back on the belt to where it needs to go to make new paper. So because it's so small, we can't capture it. Yes.
Normally I see when you talk about plastic, no caps.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I just didn't see that on here, so.
We have caps on, our broker wants our bills with caps.
Okay. Perfect.
Is the packing, because a lot of the companies that I deal with and stuff, all over the place that I go, deal with that brown paper,
The craft paper,
the paper that they use for packing.
yeah, that would be considered just your cardboard paper.
Okay, now the thing is, if you get bunches of it, can you put that all in a cardboard box and leave it in
I would,
would that be simple?
that would be okay,
Okay.
yeah. And some of it just comes down to, using your best intuition. I know sometimes we talked about having volunteers here for some of the times that they're open, that we would have them trained with some of this information too, to help residents, at least, especially for the first go around.
Another question, I see here that you have no styrofoam. In the facilities that I've visited, many times, they have a separate area for styrofoam. Is that what we're gonna be doing here, or is it no styrofoam period?
Right now, there's no period. The Fremont site for the Nuevo County program is the only one that has a styrofoam drop-off separately. Dart Products comes from Holland and picks that up. It's quite cumbersome to manage, so that would definitely, if the township wants to do that, we can connect them with Dart, and it's possible to do, but it does create its own problems in itself.
Yeah, because Berry Township, I've been out there a few times, they don't have storage area, they have a truck with big bags and put,
Yeah.
that stuff in, but what they do with it after that, I don't know.
I believe they're on Dart's route as well. I mean, you wouldn't want a landfill that takes up a ton of space, so why collect it otherwise?
Right.
Yeah.
I think what we're looking at is all new to us too. Oh, Cora, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, we're from Greenwood Township, so we're wondering how much it's going to cost. Are you going to
Do
get
you
into the
know
numbers?
how much the tips are right now?
Yeah, so for the cardboard tips, it's $55 a container, and the other materials is around 62, I think is where we were at. This is less than the quote that we had talked about 2 years ago, which is one of the benefits of being in Nuevo. I think we were at like 78 when we first started talking about it.
Right. We would like, ideally, as this all starts to come together, there's a lot of factors, and Lola, because she has them going in other places, and you've all probably used some of the recycle centers in some of the other places. We're looking at some kind of coordinated between all of the township and the village of volunteer workers for certain times, so as we set up that time. We're looking at pricing for dumps. We don't know how many dumps we're gonna get. It's all new to us too. As she told me in Newfield County, when I talked about how much funding comes from other places, some of the townships in the county pay so many dumps per year. Some of them pay a flat rate per year, and some of the townships pay nothing. So, that's something we all have to look at, but we will sit down and all get on the same board before we decide anything. I'd like to see 1 or 2 representatives from each township and the village so that we could work together doing this. Ideally, it is going to be locked, except for the times that it's open. We already have in place part of our 20% that we agreed to pay is we have the lighting in, we have the cameras in, and now the fencing is all set. So once we send him the half, he is already in contact with Mike Rosemont, who will be pouring the cement and coordinating the project. I guess one of the big things will be, like she said, to help people when they come, and we'll be all trained. We're not going to throw you out there And the other thing is, a clipboard of some sort to keep track of where everyone's coming from. So we can kind of just get an idea how many from Greenwood are using it, how many from Newfield, the village, you know, we're all excited about using it. And that'll give us, you know, by the end of the year, we could have if we can get this going yet this summer, the beginning of the summer, have an idea of, you know, the usage, have no idea. I know a lot of people use the one downtown. A lot of people go to Fremont. And a lot of people use the big site out on 20, and that's still gonna be there. And Lola's working with that gal.
Yeah, we were meeting with them again tomorrow.
Okay, and they're looking at doing some things out there too. So, this will be free to the residents. We're not into making any money. We're looking at, this is a resident services from, the township and the village. And we'd like to also, and she has some things going with including the schools.
Yes.
That's a new thing. So, your kids will learn right from the very beginning that they can recycle at school. So that's a big plus. So, it's all new, we're just jumping into it, but, I wanna see, you know, representatives will be contacting you if you decide to go ahead and go with us, and setting up some kind of board and then go from there. Any questions?
I got one, Nancy. How many townships? Now, is Denver and all around or not?
Greenwood and the village wrote a letter of support when we first started the grant process, and Denver gave us a verbal support. So,
So right now, we got 3 coming.
Right, Denver, Newfield, Greenwood, and then the village.
Okay.
You said a clipboard to kind of tell where people are coming from. Are we making it exclusive, you have to live in one of those townships, or can somebody from Ferry driving by stop here and?
I kind of felt like it was exclusive because of the time and money that will be going into it, but, this is something this board needs to look at too. We'll sit down with Lola, have a meeting, and get it more organized, you know, we had to get those first few kicks out of it to do it, so, but the center at Ferry will still be open and take what it does take. I don't know if it's gonna take anything different.
I'm not really sure yet.
Okay,
on that one.
okay. I know that the county, Oceana County is looking at cleaning up that site and making it more user-friendly, so.
We submitted an EPA grant on behalf of Oceana for funds. I don't know if, we'll get it.
And then they don't hurry. Remember last year at this time, I thought we were gonna hear any day, and it just doesn't work that way. But the people from Eagle have been wonderful. I've submitted my first quarterly report. We have to, what we do is pay the bills and then turn the money, or the bills that are paid into Eagle, and they will refund it. So that's how our auditor set up, 2 accounts for us within our system, so that will handle that, and, they've been wonderful, they've been wonderful, so, and Nuevo County is in the same process, and they are getting, well, actually, they have 30 dumpsters ordered, and they combined our few 5 or 6, whatever we can get for that amount, and in their bid. So we hopefully, by bidding for 35 or 36, we will get a little break too. And I think that closed on Friday.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we should be hearing something back on the bids for the dumpsters. The dumpsters will be new, they will belong to us.
So, the grant covers the capital costs, not the operational costs.
Right.
It covers 80%.
Okay, 80%.
Yes.
Of the original cost, not the dumping.
Right.
So we're covering the other 20% as our township.
Our township we come up with the 20% that we needed to, offset the grant. We had to come up, they did 80%, we did 20, and we took that out of our COVID money each time. And we did the outdoor, cameras, we did the new lighting, and, the fencing, and that's part of our 20%. So,
At this time, you're not sure, or you don't think you'll be trying to recover any of the 20% from other townships?
I can't hear you.
Would you be trying to recover any of that 20% from the other townships?
We haven't thought of that, no.
Well, I didn't bring it up.
No, that's okay, well, it's here, we had someone come.
Scratch that.
We had someone come in and said, why didn't you put it in the fire department? Well, there could be a mess out there with people, I don't know how much of a backup we're gonna have, we get a fire, we got all these people out there. Number two, it's not gonna be left unmanned, so when it's open, it will be manned. And so, it's a little easier, on Mondays, I'm here, so I would dare say it'll probably open on Mondays. Because, that's the one day we can go with that we know, you've got a volunteer here. Now, I know there's a lot of people sitting in the audience that have said they will volunteer. So we're counting on that, I don't care if it's a couple hours here or there. And then, you just don't know, we don't know, it's kind of the unknown for us. But we have been learning from Lola and the other, I went to see the Grant one that's set up, the White Cloud one that's set up, and many of you have been to the Nuevo and the Fremont, so,
Got it.
yeah.
Probably our biggest drawback that I can see is probably gonna be the cardboard. We're gonna have something to smash it down because you go out on 20 and
Yeah, well, see, but we're not taking commercial. It's only residential. But I know if you get a lot of boxes at your house
Right.
from Amazon, but, that's kind of a way to look at it too, so. Kevin?
Yeah, how, and Lolo, you may already be doing this or know about it, long-term operating this, is there like a board, just like we've got a fire board, or we've got a library board between all the townships? Is Newfield County ones already doing something like this?
Nuevo County is governed by the Board of Public Works, this program itself, which then sits underneath the Board of Commissioners. But part of the solid waste management laws are changing. There was a law passed in the end of December called Part 115. So there's a number of solid waste management plans that change within the 8-bill package. One of them being is each county has to start to plan for recycling, reuse programs before landfill first practices. So as a township, I don't know that you have to have a governing board unless you wanted to make an authority within multiple townships, if you had a funding mechanism that you wanted to work out in that way. At this time, Newfield Township is the one really in charge of the program.
But we totally want input from all of you, and you to set on a board. I have people here that have done recycling for years and helped on these, so, that's kind of what we're looking at. There's a couple people from each township, and we make the village, we make the decisions together. And with the help of Lola and the guidance of some of the other, townships and counties.
Yeah, more of a wonder than a suggestion, that's it.
Lola, you just said something about, and I didn't catch the whole, but you said something about, that counties need to be looking to recycling versus landfill. Like that was an objective by the state or by local counties, so can you talk more,
Yes. Okay. Yeah, this started to be discussed probably 5 years ago. It's been through the House and the Senate and back and forth again, but it did pass, in December, sort of at the 11th hour, and, opinion-wise, good or bad, the Eagle is providing funds, so like Oceana County, Tracy just completed one, Nuevo just completed one for a municipal measurement grant, so each county received $10,000 to start this planning process of who are your waste haulers, how much waste is being generated within your county, where's your closest landfill, where are your transfer stations, to try to start to identify what is even happening. Each county is very, very different. Even your townships are different within each county, so it's a way for the state or for all of us to look at and go, oh, okay, Nuevo County's doing this, Oceana's doing this, Lake has this, Grand Rapids has this, and start to make more regional plans if you will. I don't see any of these things being enforceable in any way in 2 to 3 years. Eagle, they'll be rolling out some more of the information at our conference here in 2 weeks.
But it was a bill that has been signed into law.
Yes.
So this is more of a question on who, we're talking about who can or can't use it. And I realize that the operational costs are gonna be borne by the locals here, with our tax money. But with the grant, since it's a grant money that paid for 80%, that would be from the entire state of Michigan. So it seems like you wouldn't be able to say you have to pay for it, but you're not allowed to use it. It seems like you'd have to open it up to anyone, even if they're not in the townships or paying the operational costs.
Sure, that'll
Just
be,
a thought.
yeah, Nuevo County does not have any, if you go to any site, nobody's asking you for your zip code or your address.
Right.
We have done some surveys but for interest. We found that our grant site's being used heavily by individuals from Kent City and Sparta,
Sure.
for example.
Yeah.
Some of it comes down to your volunteers, how many volunteers you have, or if you have some communities have a paid staff member that is checking IDs, and it's really up to, whoever is
Sure.
doing the program.
Anybody else have anything for them?
Well, we will create more signage, you'll see more probably brochures, and for those of you that are here and want to volunteer, I'm sure I'll be seeing some of you around, and hope you can come visit us in Nuevo sometime and see where your items are actually going.
Going up the big hill, right?
Yep. The big American flag, that's us.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next for new business, resolution of wages. Last month we voted for supervisor wages and the 8%, and, we need to turn those into resolutions, so I'd like to rescind the, supervisor wages and make that, resolution 4-18-232. Is there support for that?
Yeah. What's the yearly amount that you got?
16.
17,280?
Plus your 8, you got
Yep.
8%.
Okay.
Okay, so motion by Davis, supported by Robertson, for supervisor, resolution 4-18-23-2. Want to do roll call?
Rick Robertson?
Here. Yes.
John Clark?
Yes.
Amanda Hunter?
Yes.
Tom David? Nancy Conley, yes. Motion carries.
I'd like to rescind the 8%, do a resolution for the 8%, across the board, so it'd be resolution 4-18-23-3.
Can we do it, we have to do them by position, from what I read, is that you have to do each of them by position, you can't just do like blanket,
On the 8%?
even on that. So that's why the clerk and the, supervisor ones, I had already said, let's set them up with the 8% plus the wage increase.
Okay, so would that be treasurer and trustee?
Yeah, so the treasurer would be 20,196 with the 8%.
Okay, so treasurer 8%, resolution 4-18-23-3.
That's 23 is yours. You're gonna do that one first?
Nope,
I was
this is
two.
22.
Okay, you're right, sorry.
That's okay.
Support.
Okay, motion by Davis, supported by Robertson, roll call please.
Amanda Hunter?
Yes.
Rick Robertson?
Yes.
John Clark?
Yes.
Tom David?
Yes.
Nancy Conley, yes.
Okay, I'd like to rescind the 8% for the trustees and make it a resolution, for the 8% for 1823-4. There's support.
Support.
Motion by Davis, supported by Robertson for the resolution for 1823-4 for trustees, 8%. Roll call.
Can we open this one up for discussion for a minute? When I was doing my wage comparison, this one was significantly underpaid. It looks like everybody else, when you average them out, was getting nearly 300 a meeting. Or not 300 meetings, 300 a month. And they were paid annually. So regardless of how many meetings there were, they were getting paid, like, one of them was paid,
I can offer you ours, Amanda. I didn't get it to you in email today. Greenwood pays their trustees $150 a month. It's a salary, so they're paid annually whether they're able to attend the meeting. They're typically there, but it's a salary position, similar to the supervised trustee or supervisor clerk and treasurer.
yeah, and that's kind of what I was looking at transferring it to, is an annual, amount, so they get it regardless of they're here or not, versus, on top of that, if we had multiple meetings a month, they would only get the one amount.
So we pay an additional.
You do pay it.
Yeah. The resolution is written $150, for the normal meeting, and then we do, in the resolution, it says plus a per meeting, fee too.
Okay.
And we look at that as supporting, similar to the time and effort that they put in and the commitment that they put into it for the township, similar to what the rest of the board does.
Okay. So I've got one township that pays $505 monthly to their trustees. I've got another one that pays almost $5,200 a month, or a year to their trustees, which I believe is $445. Same thing for another township. And the only reason I'm mentioning this is because these are similar sized townships.
Are they townships in Oceana County?
I've got Oceana and Newfield. So
I haven't heard any numbers that high.
I've got Big Prairie pays their trustees $6,060 a year, which that one's the highest at $505. And their registered voters is, I think they've got 200 more than we do. And their taxable value is actually quite similar to ours as well. So I would like to see that increased as well, from the 150 a meeting to maybe even $275 a month.
Well, I don't know, that sounds like a lot to me, and they didn't even want to go to the 162, they thought that was too much, so to go to 275, something that they didn't even want.
Anybody else have feedback? Because, at the same time, they're getting paid the same as, planning commission chairperson, so, and they are elected officials.
You got a motion out there right now.
What is the motion we have on the floor, Nancy?
To rescind the 8% that was, voted on last month, and to make it a resolution for 8% this month, which would give you the 162 per meeting.
Then Amanda's suggesting,
$275 per month regardless of meetings.
Let's vote on rescinding.
Anybody get a second, you have that?
you, did you second it?
I did, just now.
Oh, I thought you did when we first did it.
Okay, so we're voting on rescinding the 8%. I think we can do that. We don't need all those in favor.
All those in favor of rescinding the 8% for trustees? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 5-0.
Then we can make a resolution to do whatever you're gonna do.
Well, the resolution that I'm suggesting is the 8%, which would take them to $162 a month
Well, per meeting.
per meeting.
Support. I mean, you need support, right? To do-
She would in order to
No, I mean, to do
do
that.
the 162, she needs to
275 on that.
That wasn't, it was for 162. Is what my motion was for the resolution.
Did you support that, then,
No.
No.
or? I support.
Okay, motion by Davis, supported by Robertson to do the 8% for trustees and a resolution, taking them to 162.
Resolution 418-23-5.
dash 5 or dash 4?
Dash 4. John Clark,
Yes.
Amanda Hunter,
Yes.
Rick Robertson,
Yes.
Joan Davis,
Yes.
Nancy Conley, yes.
Okay, next is MTA online workshop for, our zoning administrator and marijuana enforcer. I believe it's May 18th, online at a cost of $100
Each.
What all does that involve?
That, what that is, it's the course is called Breaking the Zoning Code. And what that is an update on recent court rulings and enforcement actions, looking at, public hearings and basically a particular focus on things like special uses and variances. This is where things get tricky.
And Rick is gonna go to.
Yeah, the two of us will do it.
So I make a motion that we approve having Rick and Steve do the zoning workshop.
And it's $100 per person?
Yeah, 100. 100.
100
Yeah.
per person, so 200 total.
Right. Joan made the motion.
Support.
Okay, motion by David, supported by Robertson to, allow Steve and Rick to do the zoning workshop. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 5-0. Next is BSNA tax class for treasurer and deputy treasurer, so Amanda and Peggy, is that online or?
No, it's in person. So, Marietta County, has, understood that we've got some issues with BSNA, and we all the townships kind of agreed that a training to go over it would be nice, and instead of doing it per township, she's hosting the training, and we're all attending, all of the people who attend. will pay a portion of the cost of BSNA coming in to train them. So I believe our cost was $65 for the training.
For both of you, or?
No,
$65 is for the township to pay for us to enter the training for both of us, yeah. So regardless if Peggy can make it or regardless if I can make it, it's gonna be $65. And Peggy's would obviously be her hourly wage as well. We'd probably ride together. We'd probably ride together for mileage, is my guess, but,
I think it's great, because they need it for the,
and there's so many issues, like, we are all still kind of learning together, and I know things that they don't know, and they know things that I don't know, so we're kind of hoping that all of the townships together can have, this.
Yeah, I make a motion that we, have Amanda and Peggy attend the BSNA tax class in Clark.
Support.
Motion by David, supported by Clark, to send them to some fun training. Have a note on the paper, very pencil. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, 5-0. Next, master plan budgets. Is that just to discuss where the money's coming from?
I don't know, did you put it on?
I didn't put it on.
There was a note on my desk that said master plan budgets.
Oh, well, I can review what we have. What we received from them, the agreement that we were, the compensation, for those of you who don't know, we are reviewing, how do I want to say that, contracted with a company to redo our master plan. We're way behind on doing it. And, so we have, McKenna Services are going to do it for us. We have a section on services, a section on the meetings. There'll be a kickoff meeting, 2 community open houses, where we definitely want, folks from the area in on everything, decisions that are being made. We'll have a master plan stakeholder focus group with the planning commission, 2 master plan draft review meetings, 4 master plan adoption process meetings, 3 zoning ordinance draft review meetings, 2 zoning ordinance adoption process meetings, 1 stakeholder vision session, and 2 public engagement workshops is what we agreed to. We interviewed several and brought it down to 2, and then went with McKenna. Also, in this, the compensation and payment of method of payment, the township shall pay the consultant for the work as described in section 1, scope of services, and section 2, end products, the amount of $43,000. And then there's additional services that we will go through as they do things. They will be turning into us. The payment for services will be monthly based on the consultant's estimated percent complete and a description of services performed. The consultant shall submit an invoice, and the township shall within 30 days satisfy itself as to the performance of such work and pay the amount for services and reimbursement requested by the invoice. I do have a copy of the master plan from McKenna, if any of you are interested. It's always available here for you to look through. It'll be coordinated by our zoning and by our planning commission. And they, I think, are getting ready to start that process, the meetings process. So keep watching, because these dates will be published for you, for the participation. So watch our website, watch our little box out here. We'll let you know as things happen.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next thing on our list is roads. So I didn't hear from anybody but Nancy with questions, so, I don't know what your guys' thoughts are, but as far as 164th, Warren and Buchanan, we might have to put those on hold because each road alone is more than what we even have funding for.
Well, number one, Joan, going back to last year, 176, that would be number one.
Probably because
We voted
to do that road last year. And then they changed it to where there was more damage,
Oh,
more
like,
things
wait
that
till
they
the
would have to
weather,
do.
some of the weather, and, there was lumps in the pavement or
Well, it's
something.
because of the trees that hang over
Yeah.
the road, the frost,
So,
freaks had it on the road.
looking at 100%.
But with that one, that's what, right around 200,000
So that's,
or 200 and some thousand.
211,000.
so that's what we have allocated for our,
Budget.
road budget for the year, isn't it?
176 is
We had already voted for last year.
last year to be used for marijuana money.
Okay.
There's
Forward
four
roll.
out of, so I have 13 estimates here. Of the 13, 4 of them can actually be fixed with marijuana money. 3 of them are out of our budget.
How much marijuana money do you have left out?
That's what I was hoping that you'd be able to tell me.
Oh, I do.
I know it's always that packet that.
Oh.
I was gonna say, that's not in my records.
I know Nancy gave it to me the other day,
These are
and
2 of the roads, and it's a little over $400,000.
Is what we have left?
Yes. And then if we go ahead with the radios, that's 120,000. So before the radios, we would be using 350 on 2 roads, unless you change whatever one you wanted to go to.
so right now, the ones that, we are allowed to do are 176, 186, Baker and Yonkers. Because they're either a facility on them or, the next closest road that they travel with their trucks to get there to their facility.
And we want to remember, out of the 200,000 that are allocated in the road budget, about 22,000 to 24,000 is going to be brining. So we have to take that off that 200,000 that we've got in the budget for the brine. And the brinings run 22 to 24,000.
So what are you gonna do with, Zimmer Road? Wasn't that gonna be gravelled or
Yep.
is that in the works or?
Is it gravel now?
It's gravel now, but what happens is there's a low spot on the corner, mainly from, Karen's old farmhouse around the corner, almost up to DeBro's house. That corner right there is bad. It gets muddy, there's little gravel there. We've had buses get stuck there before in the spring. The estimate that they gave for that,
36, 78.
but if you look at it, it's to place 4 inches of gravel on the road for 4,078 feet by 20 feet wide. Well, that takes you all the way, I believe that takes you all the way from 176, all the way down and around to just, north of DeBro's, but that whole road's not bad. What's that?
It says whatever address 2200 is.
Yeah, that would be over by DeBro's. So I don't know why they want to do the whole road, because it's only like maybe half a mile that actually needs it.
When do they have to know?
The sooner they know, the sooner they can get us on the list before.
First come, first served.
So like this, we could put a hold on because it's gravel, and so we don't have to rely on Reef Riley or API or whoever they go with.
Joan, when Kyle and them travel, when they come in the north way, you know, from
Yonker?
186,
So-
they go around, I get them roads mixed up.
Sometimes they come in from Yonker, and then sometimes they come down 186, and I don't know.
Well,
You'd have to ask one of them to actually,
Kyle would know, but don't they go around, don't they come down by the lake, then to their place?
Kyle, how
No.
do you go
you
travel?
you mentioned 186?
Right, where they go, to get over to 176.
Oh, to 176?
How do you leave 186 to 176? Do you go down, loop, and over,
Yes.
usually?
Yeah, I wave to them all the time.
Okay.
So they, 186, loop, 176.
Well, we could maybe
So
start
Nancy, what
South
did you-
Yonker.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what did you say we had left in the marijuana, 300?
It's a little over 400,000.
After that's before the radios.
Yes,
So if it's a little over 400, we've got about 280.
right around 300,000.
Because if we add up all four of those roads, it's 330, or 366. So essentially, we're gonna have to nix at least two of them.
Well, I think 176 is important, and I think Baker, because we did 200 in a 2-year project, we ground it up, and then I asphalted it, but that extension off from Baker is a mess.
Well,
And that wasn't done, and it needs,
Those two together still are over our budget.
the 176 and the Baker.
Yeah, because that's over 300,000.
You mean where they left
Alright.
off and went to 204? Or not?
I'm sorry,
You mean off in Baker where they
yeah, all the
left off to end up on,
Yeah.
I call it
Yeah.
Hornbrook Corners, but
Hornbrook Corners, yeah.
204.
That's a mess. You know, for as nice as 200, they're gonna leave that a mess.
Cause that little spot, they wanted what, over 100,000, I think.
And they quite often go down on these estimates. We've always had
Oh, yeah.
them come down. The estimates are always, $103,015. They're always, have been in the past lower. I don't know how much or what the reason, probably how they get the asphalt or whatever they get to come in, Joan knows. But,
Yeah, but we still don't want to spend over what we have.
right.
So, and looking at those, if we've got approximately 280,000, between those, that's 314, so we're over almost 35,000.
So let's look at, we could take some of this and pull off the 200 for it. The 180,000 that we have just in our line, we could move some of that in and so we could do two of them. You see what I mean? We could be half with cannabis and half with that, and it could be a lesser, estimate.
So if we did Baker, 176, and the radios, it would be 334,479.
And we're over 400,000, so we should.
Wait, say that one more time? Baker?
The 120 is Baker.
Mine has a 434, 479.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we've only got 4,400
About 420,000.
So we're 50,000 off.
Could we, look at 176 and then see what they give us as Baker as a reduced rate? We might be able to do that.
When they give it to us at a reduced rate?
Everything was reduced last year. There wasn't anything that wasn't except for Riverview, and they picked that up themselves.
Well, that was because that was part of our deal.
Right.
And part of the deal was them paying 176 at that price too. Because the whole reason we got Riverview for free was because we were supposed to pay the 176 plus the other
No,
one.
we got Riverview because we picked up Loop up there and helped with that primary road. Loop's the primary road from 192nd to, the village limits.
Gotcha.
So we agreed to help with that and they did Riverview.
I thought it was because we had the 6 other
No.
ones that we were doing.
No,
That was a fight for about 3 or 4 years on that, so we made a deal.
so we could do 176 in Baker and then pull what we need out of the 200 that we have allowed. And see what we have left. We might have something left enough out of the 200,000 to come up with that. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I would say if we're doing that, we need to plan for taking 35,000 out of our 200,000, which would leave us with 165 for the other roads. Just because that's what.
Well, we won't touch the 200, other than the brining, we won't touch the 200 till we settle on a price for this.
Oh, I thought we were looking at the other ones right now too.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Because I thought you were looking at those two with marijuana monies,
Right,
which, like I said, come out to 314,000.
right.
And if we say we have approximately 280, even 300,000, we're still going to want to make note of the difference of what we have versus what we're over on the marijuana money.
Right.
And take that out of the roads budget. So I would say to take 35,000 out of the roads budget.
Yep.
So that minus, let's just say, what did you say it was, 2,440 something for Brian a year?
Yeah, we figure about, 22,000.
2,200? 2,200?
22,000.
For Brian. Okay,
That's for 2 brining.
And that's,
okay.
on the high side, hopefully.
Yeah, it's on the high side, but that's what they kind of told us to go with. Okay.
So that would leave us with approximately 143,000
Right.
towards the other roads.
Do a couple smaller ones. What do you suggest?
Or do we put these 2 in and come back with the rest of them next month?
That sounds good to me. What do you think, Joe? Well, you have some in mind.
Well, at first what I had in mind is to do all these small ones and get them done and then concentrate on, the bigger ones, but then the more I looked at them, there's 3 that I would really like to see done, and one is Zimmer, but, I might be able to get that cut down to half the price that they said if they only do half a mile instead of, well, it's not quite a mile, but 3/4 of a mile. So I can ask on that.
So we'll hold the Zimmer one till next month.
Because that's just where
Yep, so they do that anytime. And as far as the other ones, they did 3 estimates, so 3 different sections of 204. And they want to chip seal and fog seal that to keep it in good shape. But, yeah, we need to check on Zimmer, and where, the one that says Hightower Road, that's actually 3 roads there, it's not just Hightower, it's 166 Hightower Road and then Lakeview.
That
So-
one, I think, is way too much for this year. Cause that's almost our whole budget, that.
So what I could do is, if we turn in 176 in Baker, then I can meet with Mark and Jeff to ask them, about, a shorter distance for Zimmer Road, and then, giving us an estimate, and maybe we can do Lakeview and 166 this year. And then they could put slag down on Hightower, which should be a lot cheaper, and then maybe pave actual Hightower Road the following year. But if they put slag down or something, then that's gonna help with erosion on the hill.
Didn't they do something last year around the lake?
Yeah, they crushed all the blacktop and it's all gravel now.
So,
Which is fine, a lot of the residents like it like that. On the north side, there's like 4 or 5 people that didn't care it was like that because it kept traffic down and I myself would want all the dust. But the biggest issue is 166 in Lakeview because Lakeview's got a lot of houses, 166 doesn't have that many, but for some reason it gets tore up really bad, but it's swampland, so that might have a lot to do with the consistency of the road. So I think the sooner that we, especially get 166 paved, otherwise we're just gonna have a lot more issues there, and it's gonna end up costing more money in the end. And the other thing is, the road commission doesn't usually do parking lots, but with Reeve Riley never got back with us on a quote. API came back with a quote where they were gonna come in and they were gonna crush and remove everything and level everything out and then put down new pavement and all that, and if I remember right, Randy, you might remember, was it 60-some thousand?
63,000.
The road commission, I asked them if they came in and if any little cracks had to be filled, and then just do an overlay of that. They said that they could chip seal it and get it back into shape for $5,900, but I didn't know if we had, COVID money that we could use on that.
I would imagine so, I would hope so,
Yeah,
for that much, because we were, originally we would plan for the 63,000 coming out of COVID money, so I don't think we've spent anything since then, so I'm
Other
pretty sure
than
we
just
got,
that.
and, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so the motion that I'm gonna say in a minute, but first I wanna say it out loud. So if we make a motion to do the parking lot with COVID, Baker and 176 with cannabis, I will talk with Mark and Jeff about going down to half a mile on Zimmer, doing 166 in Lakeview on Hightower, and then, next month we'll come back to see what the new totals are, and then we can see, because then we might be able to pick up another road, or maybe we'll have just enough to do that, and I'm not so worried about Zimmer, because they'll do that themselves because it's gravel, it's just the things that are paved that we need to act on, otherwise it's gonna be the end of the summer, so that's the motions that I'm gonna make. So my first motion is to pave the township parking lot at $5,939 with COVID money.
I'll second.
Motion by David, supported by Hunter, for the parking lot, all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Roll call vote.
Oh, yeah, we do roll call.
John Clark?
yes, that's better than 63,000.
Probably isn't gonna last as long. but-
Well, I'll go for it.
Rick Robertson?
Yes.
Amanda Hunter?
Yes.
Joan David?
Yes.
Nancy Conley, yes.
Okay, next I'd like a motion to do 176th Avenue at $211,464 using cannabis money.
I'll support it.
Okay, motion by David, supported by Clark for the 176th Avenue. Go ahead and do a roll call.
John Clark?
Yes,
Amanda Hunter?
No, just because it's marijuana money. I want it done, but I still read the legal opinion differently, so no.
I talked to 3 lawyers to double check on all this before I presented it, so, but here,
Rick Robertson?
Yes.
Joan David?
yes.
Nancy Conley, yes.
Okay, next, I'd like to make a motion to do, Baker Road at $103,015 using cannabis money.
Support.
Okay, motion by Davis, supported by Robertson for Baker Road. Go ahead and do a roll call.
Rick Robertson?
Yes.
Joan David?
Yes.
John Clark,
Yes.
Amanda Hunter,
Same, I want it done, but no.
Nancy Conley, yes. Motion carried.
Okay, so, like I said, I will get hold of Mark and Jeff, this week and ask them about Zimmer Road and then 166 in Lakeview. And then we'll come back next week. The rest of these we'll put on hold and see how things look next year. And maybe I can use a bargaining tool with them like we did on the other roads. Get that done. Okay, the next thing is planning commission recommendations for, high code special use.
Did we get anything back from a lawyer yet?
I researched everything and I spoke with, our marijuana lawyer and our township lawyer, and we all agreed on the same thing. No plants can be on that piece of property, but he can put a building on there, so, my recommendation is to allow them to put, a building on there like I think originally that's what it was with the building, and then, he mentioned moving plants.
Okay, so that's not what the site plan shows, if I remember right.
So what you're saying, Joan, from here out, if it passes, he can never grow nothing?
That
No
he can
plants.
never grow anything?
Right.
Not as long as it's residential.
Yeah, he can't grow on the residential parcel that he's purchasing.
That's because of the map or something, the map shows residential, or how's it?
Well,
I can't remember what Mike
it's-
did say.
it's kind of a sticky thing because on the thing it shows residential. If he was up by M20, it would be commercial, and that piece of property has been, mined for more than 2 years. It's been mined. They got their special use form in 2005, and they started mining, the end of 2006, beginning of 2007, and they've been using the property that Andre has now, and the piece that he wants to do, that he's asking about now, has been mined for that long. From there out to 184th, that's been used agricultural, but that's not property he
Right,
wants.
Zerus farmed that quite a while,
Yeah, I don't know who farms it now.
or they did.
But it's been used commercial.
However, there was, to our knowledge, we don't know that there was anything, regarding the law of gravel pits stating that it can't be done on
It
residential.
can't be what?
It can't be done on residential, so essentially you could use a special use permit for that purpose, but the law is stating that, a marijuana establishment may not be located in an area zoned exclusively for residential use. So, this is a different situation, so even though it was previously under special use, it doesn't look like a special use applies to marijuana, which is what you're saying with the, he can have the building on it,
Right.
that's fine, but he can't actually plant
He can,
on that,
yes, and he's aware of that.
but we don't have an updated site plan. Because the site plan,
Site plan shows the building and the fencing, and that's what he's going ahead with, want to go ahead with.
but his current site plan showed, that there were plants on the new section too.
You can approve with conditions.
You can approve it with conditions. So we could approve this with the conditions, that on the site plan, he shows the 12,000 square foot, well, actually a 13,980 square foot pole barn. And then, the land is, also has the fencing up around it with no plants. Take the plants out of it.
What's in circles, is that like
Well, those
potted?
are the big trees.
Oh, that's a tree?
These ones are the big trees, these ones were the plants.
But those will be
I believe
taken out of
this
there.
property was the new,
Do you
newly
understand?
purchased. So essentially, all of these plants would have to be contained over here.
He's looking mainly at storage area right now, he ran out of storage.
And as long as it's not gonna be one of his processing.
Right, the processing sets up on the other side, right, Andre?
Yes, and that took all of our space.
Okay, so this is just storage, your processing goes back to the other one. 'Cause I know, I was a little confused on the original plans, because you said something about you're building a new building so that you can, expand what you offer.
So, the plans, at the moment, they're a little bit too close to each other.
Okay.
Actually, can I get up?
Sure.
I see a lot of new faces, and I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Hendrik Kelly. I own the property over here. We grow marijuana on 20. We've been there for the past couple of years. First year was a little tough. We got in a little late. I believe we got approved in April sometime, and we came out here and we built the whole facility, and we got in the ground around July 25th or so, which made it really late for us. We didn't really make a fraction of the cost of what we put into it. That year, we also decided to build a lab, so we can keep some of our guys busy all year round. We started the progress, but the equipment was not ready, so that took a little while. And the hardest thing I had to do is to tell everybody, you guys had no job until we built the lab. Well, we built the lab this year. Things went a lot better. You guys are doing overtime now. Everybody's happy. The problem is, all the equipment and all the material that's in that facility right now, we kind of outgrew that area, so we need more space. And all the delays, it's kind of hurting us. Some people like it, can't help that, but I would like to approve this so we can have the space to move forward. Again, first year we started, we got in really late, and by the time we got to the building, we couldn't even use it to, properly. I mean, we need electrical, there's a lot of things that go into it. So, if we can approve it today, we can get that going so we can use it by the end of the year for harvest. If we can't put the plants in the ground, it is what it is. The extra space is definitely needed.
Because it's the same amount of plants no matter what.
Same amount of plants. I know the
Just for
township,
spreading them out.
we're not getting new licenses. If there was some available, I would like to, but since there's not, I'm not asking for new licenses. I'm just asking for more space.
So, you have two buildings on the current?
No, I have one building.
You have one building.
Everything else is like, you put in the back of the truck and remove. It's,
Okay.
so it's one building, full power. That's where the lab is at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where is the equipment being stored? So-
Inside the lab.
Okay, so you're building the new one to move the equipment from the lab into the new one?
No, to move that equipment, I might as well just shut the doors down. That equipment is there to stay in the existing building. The new building, I would put in, the whole harvest basically, so my guys can work in a, cleaner environment, so they don't have to move bags around and stuff like that.
So marijuana would still be on that new parcel,
Yeah, in the building, yes.
which is not allowed.
Well, you guys are always, trying to find different ways, but if we're not growing, I don't wanna grow any residential. I thought this meeting was to approve a special use, just like everybody has the right to. I mean, a special use permit would give us the right to grow in it. But, I called the state myself too. I know you can't grow in a residential area. You can ask to change the zoning or get a special use for it. They were okay with it. So somewhere along in your books, figure out if we can actually legally use it or not. That's all.
And that's what I think the planning commission had determined, was that we needed to contact our lawyer to see if we could. And
Right.
as of now, I have not seen any physical form from our lawyer approving that. And from what it sounds like is that marijuana can't be used or stored on that residential parcel.
Okay.
Which would mean that you couldn't use that for the processing or storing, like marijuana can't go onto.
Am I allowed to ask to change the zoning? Do I have that option?
It's a lot longer process,
Okay,
but,
so, I mean, it's okay, if I gotta get delayed a little while longer, it's all right, no problem.
Do you want to
How long
still go
will it be?
ahead with the building itself for
I would
storage?
like to go ahead with the building, if I could.
but for, I guess that's what I'm confused on, for storage of what?
Equipment, I thought like your tractors and your,
So, look, you know, eventually, you know, obviously we are going to need the space, but if I can't use it down the road, you know what I mean? It would be no good for me, you know what I mean? Yeah.
So I guess that's kind of what I'm
So more,
trying to look at is,
so more or
if you're
less,
not allowed to put marijuana on that parcel, is it even worth it for you to build a building?
Look, I mean, put up $1 million building for my tractors, you know, is it worth it? You know, the tractors are not that expensive. I need the space to house, you know, some of the product that comes out of the field, okay? As well as whatever we have empty totes and stuff like that to move it all into that facility. Some tools, you know, but now, you know, I would also like to store some totes of product in there, yes. If I can't do that, you know, tell me how I can. How can I do that?
That would
That's
be
a
through
question.
a zoning change.
Okay, zoning change, okay, we'll go through a zoning change next time. If that's what we gotta do, that's what we'll do.
so what you're saying down the road, you want the building, but then you want all the vacant land to plant plants, right?
That's not what I said, I mean, we're trying to get a building up right now. But
Right,
If
but I
if
mean-
the zoning changes, if we can change the zoning, and then I would like to pursue what you have in front of you.
Right.
Yeah.
would you be willing to have this approved just for you to get your building and your fence up?
Yeah, I would love to get that up, you know?
Without any product right now until you go into it, ask for a zoning change?
How long is the zoning, how long would that take for the zoning change, I guess is my question.
I don't know. We have to go through the process, just like we have
Okay.
Yeah,
everything
Steve,
else.
what would that be? 3, 4 months?
Yeah.
What would you look?
You
what would you
need a
look-
minimum of 2 months.
2 months?
Look, I mean, at the moment, if I can't use it for marijuana, I do have all of the stuff that we can store in there, you know what I mean? I might not put fancy lights and, or fancy, you know, I might leave it just as a barn. I may not build $1 million building, maybe I'll do a $300,000 building. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess
So I
that's,
would like, if I can get the building approved, I would like to get that building and the fence up, because now, you know, at least I can get that up, and then I'll put my equipment with no marijuana in it. Can I get that approved?
yeah, as long as it
So
doesn't have marijuana in it.
we're
that's
looking
what
at
we're
your
looking
site plan for your fencing and your building,
Yes.
no product
No
right
product,
now.
sure.
And then you're going to pursue a zoning change.
Yes.
Okay. Everybody agree?
You make that motion.
And you will work with Rick?
Yes, actually Rick came by.
Yeah,
We don't have any plants in the field at all at
Okay,
the moment. He mentioned that he's gonna be coming in, you
Okay.
know.
so we
you know,
will
quite a
expect
bit.
you to guide him and he show you.
So yes, absolutely, like, we do lock our door, there's a button there.
Yep.
Or, if you don't have my contact number, I'll give it to you, you can call me anytime. Come in and do what you have to do, yeah.
Are you all agreeable with doing at least the building and the fencing?
As long as there's no product there, I don't see why
Okay.
there's a,
And you know that.
Yep.
Until and if and or there is a zoning change,
Right.
then there'll be no product there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I
Any
make a
other
motion-
questions, or?
I'm sorry.
Oh.
I need a motion to grant special use.
well, I guess that's the next thing, does he even need a special use if it's just in the building,
No.
so.
Yeah, because it's still a commercial building.
It's still a commercial building.
Yeah,
Still a
you're right,
commercial
you're right.
building,
He has to have a special use for the building, but the fence, he doesn't have to because
Correct.
it's his property and we don't.
And you'll be going with
The
Rick
state
for
doesn't
building
have to,
permits and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I make a
Zoning.
motion for a special use permit to be granted to Andre and High Cloud for a 13,980 square foot pole barn. You do not need, special use for your fencing, but you are gonna continue with the fencing.
Yeah.
Okay. I made that motion.
Do we have restrictions or just without product?
Without product. And make a motion for special use permit to be granted to High Cloud for a 13,980 foot pole barn and, without product.
Support.
Okay, motion by Thomas, supported by Robertson, to approve the special use for the pool building for Andre.
Want a roll call? John Clark,
Yes.
Rick Robertson,
Yes.
Nancy Conley, yes. Joan David,
Yes.
Amanda Hunter.
Yes.
Andre, could, within, 14 days, could you turn in a new site plan for Rick,
Yep.
please? Okay. Let's see. Next is fencing contract.
So I just noticed when I went through the bills that, we had not actually voted on the contract to do the fence.
I think that was under our, all the estimates that we took in, that was under the 20%, we were doing the fencing,
Yeah, but we
lighting.
still didn't make a motion, because we still made a motion when we did the lighting and the security cameras separate.
Okay.
So I'd like to make a motion to use Gorman Fencing Company for the fence, around the, recycling center, and we will pay half down at $7,787.48.
Support. Motion by Hunter, supported by David, to approve the fencing for the recycling center. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. 5-0. Government CD.
So the government CD, currently we have $5,983.29 in the CD account, that was put there in 2019. It was last renewed on 4/29/2021. Our account will mature on 4/29/23, which is just a few days from now. The interest will be compounded on a monthly basis, which it has been. We've been getting approximately 49 cents from this. So I would like to make a motion to close this government CD and put that money back into our general checking, our money market account.
I'd like discussion on that first. I knew there was something particular about this, but, because I wasn't the treasurer, I never really dealt with, this particular account, but I was aware of it. This account, I called Tammy, because I knew we only had the one. It is actually, she used to work with Pete, when Pete was at the bank, and he would, when this would come due, he would go over it for her, to get the best interest, which I know the interest isn't so good. But it's actually a perpetual care fund. There were several CDs at the time, and she and Pete rolled them all into one. And it is illegal to spend or use or cash in the perpetual care fund. And she said if we needed any more particulars to check with Pete, and Pete's not there anymore, but we can check with, if we have any questions, we can check with our auditor. But she said this is a fund that is perpetual care to take care of certain cemetery lots, and you're only allowed to spend the interest. And so I can further check into where this was established when the Colbys were here.
Okay.
And like I said, there were several CDs, but she in turn put them all in to one CD.
Okay.
And she always worked with Pete on that. So she says that it's illegal to cash that in. And she just called me today. I just found out. I'd left her a message. So I would say that.
I guess can I make a motion? I'll adjust my motion that we look at other options, or we've got a 10-day window, so it has to be something more permanent, but 49 cents of interest is
And she said you
Nothing
should
when we're
watch
getting
it
three
ahead, so you might wanna check, I haven't met the new manager yet, so you might wanna check with her to see what they have that's available.
Yeah,
But we just can't cash it in, it has to stay
and that
in
makes
its
sense.
form.
And that makes sense. I had heard about
Yeah.
something like that, nobody told me where it was located.
And I
That
think-
makes sense for this, but still at 49 cents, I
Right.
think we should do something with it,
Yeah.
and I've got until,
I can't you renew it for a shorter term, and then maybe this time?
I don't believe so, can we?
Yeah, you can close it and then we can open it.
Oh,
to
Tracy
something
said
else.
that.
I'm right here.
Sorry, we can close it and
You
open
can
it
close
and
it, open it,
something else.
and a different CD is with
And
the
that's-
better rate.
As long as
That's
you
what
hold
I'm
it in the
looking for.
CD.
Yes.
Okay.
So she can
So-
see you tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't, but I'll get with you.
Yeah.
So do you make a motion to roll it over?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to roll this into a different CD with more interest, now that our maturity date has reached.
Okay, motion by Hunter, supported by Clark to roll over the Petro Care Fund CD into a higher interest rate CD. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 5-0. Next, because of all the resolutions and all that, we moved approval of the bills down, so we need to make a motion to approve the bills.
So the only other thing with bills is that Nancy's, actually will go up. Hers will probably go up to what mine is because her wage would take effect today because the resolution takes effect today. So we will have to we can do it next month if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
So in that case, I'd like to make a motion to, pay the bills totaling $35,378.76.
Support. Okay, motion by Hunter, supported by David to approve the bills in the amount stated. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 5-0. Reports, MTA, we had our last MTA meeting, the last Wednesday in March. We had it at Winona Township. We had some state representatives there and county representatives. It was a nice meeting, got a lot of information. Our next, MTA meeting is, the last Wednesday in May, and I believe it's at Elbridge Township, but, things will go out for that. Michael, do you have anything for planning commission?
We had our regular meeting last Thursday where we approved with the conditions that you saw, the special use permit for High Cloud. We are targeting a potential date of Thursday, May 11th, for our workshop kickoff meeting with McKenna. That date will be published on the website, and in turn on the township's Facebook page. I'll be sure to share that information to the two major Facebook groups that I'm a part of here in town. Got kicked out of one of them. And it will be posted here at the hall as well. We'll look into other postings like the bulletin board at Ed's, just so that as many people as possible are aware that we're starting this process.
So this is public to everyone, correct? Not just the planning commission, or is this just more the planning commission?
It would be nice to have public in attendance to see the process.
Okay. But
This is
more
not,
of a
it is
workshop.
not a town hall meeting. There will be, because we are required to under the Open Meetings Act, there will be a time for public comment. But it would not be on the action item because there would not be any action taken at that meeting.
It's a workshop.
It's a workshop meeting.
Okay.
Also, do you have anything on camera?
So technology, yes. As I'm sure you are all aware, we had some vandalism at Oxbow Park, obscenities and crude drawings of genitalia all over the park, in bright blue spray paint. And I think I know who I sold the spray paint to, and I'm keeping an eye on them at the hardware store. But I brought up now everyone buys spray paint, I get nervous. But I brought up the possibility of putting in surveillance cameras, an exact same system that we have here at the hall, because we already have that system and we can integrate the two into one application. But it came to an amount greater than Joan could approve without the board involvement. So we have some trail cameras that are connected to LTE that have done wonderful things for catching cats and rabbits and ghosts and a very suspicious looking lady wandering around the Oxbow Scout Hall the other day. The amount.
We went ahead with that because when Dennis found it, we had to, because of our insurance, call the state police and make a report, and everybody thought we were broken out here, we weren't.
Yeah.
But he suggested with spring break coming up and everything going on, that we take some kind of security action.
And because of, and we had to act fast.
Yeah.
We acted with a good stewardship of the township monies. I could have ordered some that do a lot more, but would have been here later for $300 a piece. We managed to do the whole project for just around $400. There are 6 cameras, 3 in each park. There's 3 in Oxbow, 3 at Hightower, just for good measure. We're only talking about cameras at Oxbow because cameras, the same system we have at Hightower would not be possible there. The park stretches out too long. It's a long skiing park. But I put together a quote that I sent to Joan for including labor and shop supplies, $3,419.49, not including sales tax. The vendor that I work with, Ubiquity can get them direct cheaper from them. They are impossible to get a representative to process a sales tax exemption form because they are out of Florida. And Florida does not treat kindly with out-of-state sales tax exemptions for the local government. That's what I've read in the forums. I'm going to try, obviously. I can work with another vendor here in Michigan who's experiencing some very serious supply chain problems from Ubiquity, and our price could end up going up. So I would ask for not more than $5,000 to accomplish this project. Just try, and if I can, the problem with the ones that we have now is they only take a picture every 15 minutes, which is not enough to catch someone in the act of vandalism. But if you have someone going around enough, you can see, okay, these are the faces that we saw on this day. There was no damage this day, now there's damage this day. But it would be nice to have, just like we have here, 24/7 recording and the ability to pull it up and send it to a state police trooper that we need to send it to for our insurance company. So
Did you check with the company that did these ones?
So based on the quote that Shoreline provided for the 6 cameras that are here at the hall, my quote is for 5 cameras and a slightly different way of doing it. This is a third of the price that Shoreline quoted you on the cameras that you have here now. Because you were paying $140 an hour for a technician's labor, you're paying me and my assistant that I will be bringing in $25 an hour. That does, so it's, I'll explain. I put 10 hours worth of labor. Cameras are a relatively simple job. String a cable, screw a camera into the wall, hook it up to the machine, it does all the rest. The biggest problem would be trenching power to the maintenance shed at Oxbow, because that's where the equipment would be for a part of it. The rest of it would be in the scout hall. We would also have to find a internet service provider. NCATS would work right there. They have a tower just the other side of the river that we'd be able to shoot through. We don't need a big, expensive plane. It can be the basic plane like we have here now. But I would need assistance. I can't do it all myself. And a friend of mine who I deal with in business, we're in business together doing this rather than quoting the township an exorbitant amount of money, be good stewards of the township's funds and do it for the wage that I'm paid here.
So, can you get us 3 quotes, just because this is over our $1,000 threshold? Can you get us 3 quotes and we can approve it at next month's meeting?
I can, but I can tell you they're going to be at least double, if not more. If you would like to do that for records purposes, I can do that. How much did the village pay for the cameras that you? An insane amount of money.
I had plus down at DPW and then like just under 10,000.
Yeah. I mean, and that's only.
But you got a monthly fee on them every month too.
Right. This one does not, because we're hosting it ourselves.
Well, if you got NCAT, you're gonna.
Well, yeah, but we're hosting the video and we don't have cloud hosting. But yeah, I can do that if you'd like.
Yeah, just because that's what our policy states, if you can do that, we can vote on it next month and go
Okay.
from there, and that's my thought, I don't know what everybody else's thought on the board is, but, you know.
I mean, would you necessarily, because you're not asking a private company to do it, the township is doing it of its own accord. I mean, it's fuzzy. I get it, I do. I mean, we're coming up, by the time I could get, we'd have to wait until the May meeting, 2 weeks lead time, getting the equipment in, getting good enough weather to do it, getting
Right.
cats out there, we'd be almost to the 4th of July, and then you've got people coming into town, and but I will defer to the board, obviously.
The only other thing that we could do is make a motion that if this is the lowest quote of the three, and if you get it timely, and I don't know, would you be willing to work with him on him giving you the three quotes and then you sharing it with?
Yeah, can I actually see the one you've got?
Yeah,
right now,
absolutely.
So I can, just because I
Yeah.
haven't seen it or anything. So just so I have an idea, because I mean, we could go for it today, we're looking at,
If you need any explanation, I can provide it,
so.
because there's
I'm
mostly
guessing
just
all
parts.
of the G4s are the cameras.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah,
and then the other stuff is running
So,
the actual
These
hosting.
3 lines are the cameras.
Yep.
This is the router that would be required to actually run the application.
Okay.
And because it's in 2 places, we have to have a switch and another one. Rather than trench a cable and run the risk of damage in the future, we'd have to do a point-to-point, like NCAS does between the 2 buildings, which requires 2, one on each side, a switch on each side, something to store, the cabinet would be in the scout hall where people are, so it keeps it out of sight, out of mind. Shop supplies are, your cable ends, and a roll is actually a really good price on a roll of outdoor rated cable. And then this is the exact same hard drive that's in our camera system here. So that's what I got.
And both the state police and our insurance is really kind of pushing for us to have more security, not just for vandalism, but also for
Other activities
on that correct?
I went out there the other day to change batteries in one camera that was excessive, overactive, and there was just someone sitting on one of the picnic tables, just sitting there. I mean, it was a nice enough day, so it was a nice day to take a walk in the park, but when I showed up, he got in the car and left. So there was something, my guess, illicit that was intended there, so.
So this will be good enough camera footage that the police will be able to use
So the G4 Pro camera, which I believe there are 2 of on that, is a 4K camera. It's actually better than the ones that are mounted here in the hall. They can capture a face and a license plate from 500 feet in good lighting. At night, it's obviously less, but a face and a license plate from 500 feet is amazing. It does take up a lot more space when recording, but we wouldn't have to have it recording 24/7 like we do here. We'd only record when it detects motion.
I would say if that's the lowest, I'd make a motion to do it now. I mean,
I mean, we can, it's completely up to everybody, it's not just my call,
better.
I'll support.
Okay, motion by Clark, supported by Robertson to have our IT coordinator, install the cameras at Oxbow Park for a total of $3,419.
Then you'll up to 5,000.
Up to 5,000, just because.
Okay.
And then we'll have a monthly bill from NCAS.
There would be a monthly bill either from NCATS or Frontier, whoever can service that for a better price. I would, Spectrum does not run down that little driveway there, so we have a construction cost. I can double check with Stan on that. But
Can we
there
call out
is-
the neighbors or anything?
Your brother lives down there.
Anything is possible.
Is that great?
You got so many things here.
That is consumers. It is consumers. There's an option to run it with AT&T. It's an unlimited plan, and they throttle you down after so much. But because it would be VPN back to this one, it would be running constantly, so that's really not feasible, but it's an option. It would be like the option of last resort, I guess.
Now the next question is, where's this money coming from?
Where's the money coming from?
Go for it.
Probably from Parks and Recreation right now.
Or COVID money.
Pardon?
Or COVID money. I think COVID money can
COVID
still be
can
used
go
for
for parks.
Yeah, COVID.
Yeah. Or split it.
Let's move it from COVID.
All right, motion on the table.
So, motion by Clark, supported by Robertson, to, go up to $5,000 for installation of Oxbow Park cameras. All in favor? Say aye. Opposed? Carried 5-0. Okay, Rick Martin.
Or you skip planning commission.
No, she did that. She did that.
Oh, I thought he did that too. I'm sorry.
Well, he did planning before the
Okay.
agenda. Do you have anything to report, Rick?
No, not at this time, Andre, you already mentioned that I had been working with him on this deal here, and that I'm gonna have a meeting so we can go over some, final things. Inspections are starting up this week on the farms, so it's pretty much all I've got.
How about on 176, Rick? Wasn't he supposed to do the lining of the fence? Or
Yeah, that's part of my thing that I'm gonna
is
address.
that being done, or?
It hasn't been done yet, it's gonna be addressed when I meet with them. Oh, it is up now, oh, okay, so they did have it up, okay. All right, so yeah, I haven't been out past that one this week, so I guess that's one less thing, but I will double check on it when I go out.
I think Q's here. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
It's up.
okay.
It's up.
Yeah, that was there. Just right
Oh,
now.
okay, there it is, all right.
Okay. Dennis, secretary?
I had two funerals for the month and 17 resident plot sales and 5 cemetery bases or headstone bases, and then I took out like 14 dump trailer loads of brush. That's all, so pretty
That's a
busy.
nice day that you went to work.
Yeah.
So it's nice
That's
out
it.
there.
Yeah.
I mean, it did before, but now it's really
It looks really nice, you did a good job.
nice. Steve, zoning.
We had, our first permit of the year last month for a new house on 204th. Yeah, folks asked about a couple other places, and, I'm working on rewriting our, blight and public safety ordinance with the new information you've gotten, on how we can kind of avoid having to deal with the court system as much as possible. And that's it.
That's it? Okay, next is public comments. Anybody have any public comments?
Can I just ask a question?
Can you stand up and state your name, please?
I'm Sandy Guster, and I'm the treasurer of Greenwood Township.
Hi, Sandy.
Hi. I just wanted to understand, you may not be able to answer my question, Joe, I may have to call Jeff or somebody at the county. But did you have a bid for doing the parking lot out here from the road commission?
Yes.
So they can do work? That was my question. The road commission can work on property that's not an actual road right of way then?
Mhm.
That's what you learned?
Yeah, that's something they just started doing.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other public comments? Okay, is there any board discussion on anything?
My only board discussion is, if we do spend more money on the, debit cards, if somebody can let me know either ahead of time, like, hey, just a heads up, this is happening. cause I got the notice that we spent nearly $400 and I was freaking out. Because, you know, we only keep a small amount in there for emergencies like that.
We had to get that done.
And that's fine, but, you know.
I usually make a copy and put it in your box.
And that's fine, but I get the text, like, within a few hours of it happening.
Okay.
So if you can just text me and say, hey, we're purchasing something, so I'm not freaking out and calling the bank like I did and say, I think there might be a fraudulent charge on your account. Because $400 is kind of one of those.
I was kind of waiting for that. The card was in, and I'm like, well, it's gonna decline, it's gonna decline.
Like, I just rather not have
Like I said, I
chance
make
of
a
an
copy of
overdraft.
everything and put it in your box. I didn't know that you found out so soon. I mean, you know.
And she got hold of me and asked me.
Yeah.
Okay, so just get a hold of one of us if it happens before you. Okay.
Part of the board discussion I would like to bring up is, a couple of things. One is, banks, have you set up anything?
I contacted Gerber Federal Credit Union last week, and I have the information to contact Huntington, but I have not had a chance to send an email to Huntington yet. Gerber gave me some information, but it didn't look like their interest rates were nearly what they are at Shelby State, so I'm trying to find something that will give us the same type of interest rates, because we're getting, 3.5% on anything over, as long as our accounts have the
Do you
$250.
have more than one bank, Sandy, that you keep money in that gives a high interest rate?
Well, no banks were paying any kind of interest until just recently when I happened to go in for a personal reason. The Shelby State Bank and found out that they were offering a really good rate on their CDs.
Okay.
And then, there was an issue about how much we could have in banking institutions. So, we also went to Choice One in Fremont.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if you're talking CDs or just regular.
Just regular funds, and I've had bad luck with Choice One in Fremont before, so that's.
Well, I'm not sure that any of those rates, any place are paying any amount. That was just some specials they had going at that time. Up until then, we were just dealing with, Shelby State Bank.
Okay, and that's what I'm trying to find out right now. I found a couple other ones that used other banks, but I haven't had a chance to contact those banks yet. So those were the two that I was looking at, but the interest rates didn't seem nearly as good, so I'm hesitant to. I know we have to, but I want to find something that
Well, we're gonna pull quite a bit out of this with these.
We're gonna have to find two.
So,
well, that's another thing, is we're gonna pull a lot
I
with the
mean, we'll be
roads,
getting
so.
more in at, when the renewals come in the fall. At the end of the year, then we're back up almost $300. So, yeah, we do have to plan ahead.
And the other thing I wanted to bring up for board discussion is, we have it where our agenda is, given to all the board members 6 to 7 days, to be honest, it's usually 6 days. So people know, and yes, it does get changed, because sometimes somebody has something they want added, or I might take off, but, the other thing that I would like to see done the week ahead of time, even if it's Thursday, I think that the bills and that need to start being done sooner, because
I agree.
The last few months, it's just been chaotic, and it's not on any one person's shoulders, it's just, like the state, or, messed us over with the withdrawing twice, and then, with the wages and everything else, and I think that since you two are the ones that have to do this, I'd like you guys to pick a day where you can actually work on this, so it can be done.
When Gail was here, he would like everything done on Thursday before the Tuesday meeting, so Friday morning he had it. So I used to come in on Thursdays after I got out of work and pay all the bills and run everything. The only thing with that is, I was working, so that made a difference. And number two, it was BSNA support, which I needed a little bit once in a while. BSNA they're not usually on at night. So I would just as soon come in Thursday during the day and do whatever we're gonna do, so we have, so that means all of you who are turning in timesheets, they need to be that Thursday morning and before the meeting on Tuesday.
In the instance of a planning commission meeting that would occur that Thursday evening, would that just be best guess, or how would you
Well, they
prefer
get
that?
paid if they show up,
Right.
so we'll have to.
It could, they should be able to, would you be able to run those on Friday morning, or?
Not before school gets out.
Hmm?
Not before school gets out,
Not before school gets out.
because I've got a trip every Friday.
Oh, that's right. Nancy's not available. I was wondering. if
School not available on Friday, so school gets out. When school gets out, Granny gets out. But, Thursday, if I can do that, that would work out good. And Gail did that, but it made everybody think ahead to get the stuff in Thursday before.
And I think they do that in Denver, don't they, that all the bills have to be in, like, I know they have to be in by the second Friday, I believe, when.
You run them then, you run everything like several days before.
Yeah, usually they run before.
Yeah, and we used to, we just got away from it, but,
Yeah, I think we can all agree that we'd like to do
okay.
that.
All right, you're made aware now.
Yeah, so, yeah, so we need to start doing that, and we need to make sure that all the paperwork and that is here, just like when our auditor was here, there was some paperwork that was needed and it wasn't here, so, if you guys have to take anything home to work on it, that you can have like a 24, 36-hour turnaround and have all the paperwork back here.
And what was, it was here, it was just locked up on my desk, not in
I'm
a
gonna
public
put it
area.
in the other file.
I'm gonna put it in the other file.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Is there some reason that the planning commission meetings could not be moved to like Wednesday night?
That would probably be an amendment to our bylaws, because our constitution and bylaws state that we meet on the second Thursday, but we can change that by voice vote, roll call vote, but.
Yeah.
We can look at it.
Yeah.
Will the brewery do it?
Alleviate this problem.
Okay, any other board discussion? I had moved the supervisor's report towards the end. Some things for the fire board, they had 38 runs last month. One of their firemen, is having back surgery, so they're gonna be down one person for a little bit. I don't know how long he'll be out. And the new fire truck was supposed to be able to be brought up, the month of April, and now they're looking at the month of May. And, I just wanted people to know too that I had talked to, two of our lawyers about the radios, and, that we said that we were gonna purchase for the sheriff's department, and everything is okay with what we're doing with that. Everything is fine and legal. And I also wanted to mention that, that over the last, last year or year and a half, I know everybody has the right to FOIA, and, you FOIA, that's your choice, but I just wanted to mention that we've had, the last 12 FOIAs, it took approximately 60 hours of combined staff of 3 people to fill FOIAs from 3 separate residents, and I just want people to know that where some of their time goes. And I also want to thank people for their interest and whatnot in the things that the board is doing and the accomplishments that we're making in that. But I also want to say that at the same time, I'm very capable of dealing with the sheriff, and you have the right to email the sheriff on anything, but to try to overdo what the board's done, or to want to contact our lawyers, that I'm capable of doing. I don't know. I'm about done with that, but
I got one more thing, I forgot it. The little library that we had, Randy Keeksley, am I saying that right? Volunteered to make, to put outside, is all done. He came up Monday in the rain. He wanted to know where to place it, and, so it will be placed this week, he said. Him and his wife brought it. They were very excited, they're very wonderful people. And then as I'm talking to him on the phone rings, and Diane Hazen, who's one of our residents up on McLaren Lake, is a former librarian forever, so her and I have known each other for a long time. And she would like to donate money towards purchasing books for our new little library. So I don't know how much it is. She said, could I do it? And I said, you do whatever you want, make it out to Newfield Township to purchase books. We have a lot of books that people have given us that are in very good shape, but she wanted to do that. So, you know, we will go ahead and do that, put it under resident services, but by the end of the week, the new book library will be up. So I'm excited. They're very nice people and they did a wonderful job.
And did he find the shingles I put on the side?
Yes, he did. Yes, he said thank you. He found the shingles, and his wife was telling us all about it. She's had a little plaque made in Grey Gull in Fremont, I guess, or whatever, and that'll go on, and they want to know exactly where we want it. They're very excited. So that's the update on the little house.
Well, and then one other thing, Joan, once again, cleanup day, Saturday, June 3rd. From 8 till 1 or the dumpsters get filled, and we're always looking for volunteers.
Thank you. Okay, I make a motion that we adjourn. Support. Okay, motion by Davis, supported by Hunter to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
I'll run off some copies. Don't go. In the room over there. Don't run off. You don't never know.
We have